Where is your loyalty? Is it to the God of Jacob and his Messiah, Yeshua, his son? 1 Timothy 2 says this. Here's a statement you can trust. If we have died with him, we will also what? Live with him. If we persevere, we will also rule with him. If we disown him, what happens? He will disown us. And yet, so much of churchianity says it'll be okay. There's grace to cover it. If we are faithless, he remains what? Faithful. For he cannot disown himself. This comes after verse 3 and 4 of 1 Timothy chapter 2, where it says, accept your share in suffering disgrace as a good soldier of the Messiah Yeshua. You ever talk to a soldier who was on a forced march? You ever talk to a soldier who was a POW? I had a good friend he was a janitor at Moody. And you looked at the man and you knew there was something, you knew he was a leader. You knew he was a warrior. And I got to know him. And he wasn't a very large man, but there was a presence about him. And he loved the Lord fiercely. And I never heard him get into arguments about anything, because if somebody was saying something that wasn't biblically sound, he'd just walk away. Something we could all learn from. He was the highest ranking Vietnamese national in the Saigon Police Department. And when Saigon fell, we left him behind. And he spent, I think, the next 7 to 10 years in a re-education camp. Given a kitchen knife, and his job was to cut logs out of hardwood with a kitchen knife. And if he didn't meet his quota, he was beaten. And what sustained him during that time was the fact that he was a soldier for his God. And as much as the communists wanted to erase his memory of his God, they couldn't. Where is your loyalty? Talk about suffering. No soldier on duty gets involved with civilian affairs since he has to please his commanding officer. If we are soldiers of Yeshua, we are to follow his orders. His, regardless of the consequences and regardless of what we feel like. Can you imagine what would happen if soldiers are told, you need to march around this valley and get up behind the enemy so we can take them? And the soldiers say, you know what? Oh, I'm a lazy old private today. I think I'll sleep in. My feet are hurting from yesterday. What would happen? Well, depending on the situation, they might not even waste the time arresting the guy. They might just shoot him. Where's your loyalty? The question is, what is the will of God? John 6:40 says, his will is for us to believe in his Son. If we believe in his Son, we will believe on his Son. If we believe on his Son, we will love his Son. And John 14 records Yeshua saying that if we love Yeshua, we will keep his commandments. You see that a soldier follows the orders of his superior. When captured or attacked by the enemy, the soldier endures the consequences of the uniform that he wears out of love and loyalty to his king and the kingdom that he loves and serves. There's a flip side to that coin. The soldiers of the adversary, following his orders. Does that mean that they're innocent when it all goes to trial before Yeshua? No. Because a soldier has a choice to obey orders or not. And it is a choice each and every time, isn't it? This week it's come up multiple times, the argument that God is unfair. Just because someone is a homosexual or a fornicator, the idea that the individual can't control their body chemistry and is compulsive in their behavior, just because God says these things are sin, these people have to go to hell? How is that loving? It's always the argument. But the problem is twofold. Number one, how do we define love? How do we define love in its purest form? At Beth Yeshua, I've taught you Charles Ryrie's definition of love, which is this: love seeks the perfection of holiness in the object that is being loved, and all that that concept implies. The second problem is the sin, the behavior in question. And interestingly enough, when this argument comes up, it's always about sexual behavior. Do you notice that? Always. It's never about, what about the thief? Just because he steals something? Just because the murderer offs one guy? No, it's always about sexual identity, isn't it? But you see, that behavior is not what's condemning these people to hell. These people are condemned to hell already because they're enemies of the God of the Bible, the God of Jacob. Their sinful behavior is only symptomatic of their position and the condition of their heart, that condition which is dead, spiritually dead. When they sin, they have no inkling to repent and no inkling to change their thinking and thereby their behavior. These people are only acting like they're supposed to act, sinfully. The sinful behavior is the symptom. The awaiting eternity in hell is the inheritance received from their fathers based on the wages they've earned by their father Adam, who rebelled against his father, the Creator God. And it's amazing to me that in order to seem more open-minded and more docile, many Christians will say, I don't care if someone is homosexual, that's just their thing. Just let them be them. You've heard it. We talked about it. But let's look at it a different way. What if the argument is this? Is it really fair that God would send someone to hell because they're a liar, a murderer, or covetous? That person is a liar, a murderer, a coveter because of his opposition to the one who gave him life. Do I care that these people are homosexual or liars or covetous? I kind of expect it. I expect it because who is their father? Who's giving them the orders for their life? Who fills them and controls them?